Okay, happy birthday, Tampa. Our city turns 137 years old today. On July 15th, 1887, the town of Tampa and the town of North Tampa were abolished. And so the City of Tampa was born. And all week long, the city is stepping back in time to recognize Tampa's unique heritage. And we have Rodney Kite-Powell with us this morning to talk a little bit about the history of Tampa, which is so fascinating. You're the director of the Touchton Map Library.
Yep,
and
at the History Center, yeah.
And some of these pictures you have are incredible. So what was Tampa like in 1924?
Yeah, so the Archives Awareness Week, where they celebrate the city's birthday, is looking back 100 years ago in Tampa. So 1924 in Tampa, there was a lot going on, and it's almost reminiscent of what's going on today.
Right.
Incredible amount of growth, subdivisions springing up everywhere, but rather than being kind of miles and miles away in the suburbs, they were right in what we think of as old part of Tampa.
Right.
Places like Davis Islands were kind of born at this time. Beach
And
Park.
the pictures of the construction of Davis Islands are incredible. And even when you see pictures of Bayshore Boulevard and how undeveloped that whole land is there on the waterfront.
Exactly. That's the thing is, Tampa really had a huge growth spurt in the 1920s because of the Florida land boom that was going on throughout the state. And so, yeah, the pictures that are up right now, that's Bayshore and Howard Avenue, believe it or not.
That's Bayshore and Howard?
Bayshore and Howard, exactly. The state's population in the 1920s increased by about 60%, from around 900,000 to 1.5 million.
Right.
The city's population during that same time increased from around 45,000 to almost 100,000 people.
Yeah, so much
just
growth.
An amazing amount of growth. And so many things that we know of today, again, like Davis Islands and Beach Park and Forest Hills and these neighborhoods, they all were born during this time.
What part did Tampa play in Prohibition?
Well, Tampa was a very wet city in an otherwise pretty dry state. Lots and lots of speakeasies and people making their own alcohol here, but of course because of our location on the water, lots and lots of stuff coming in from Cuba. There's actually a really great picture from 1921 of all these logs that are broken open from a hurricane that came through, but each one of those have been hollowed out and like rum jugs have been put inside. So it was
They always found a way to do it.
They absolutely did.
The other thing I was interested in is how the clothing changed, right? So those Victorian era gowns you couldn't do the foxtrot, right?
Exactly.
Or move or dance in any way. So the shorter dresses were born and this freer, spirited
Exactly, and part of it was Prohibition, part of it was kind of called the Jazz Age. The music, it wasn't quite the revolution of the '60s, both with women's rights and kind of sexual revolution, but there was definitely an experience of women going out on the town more. With what you mentioned, Prohibition, with these speakeasies, it was the first time that women actually went to bars. But prior to Prohibition, it really was just saloons and men were there. But now, since you're breaking the law, you may as well take your wife with you to take a date. And so women being out and doing those things. And then, yeah, you have the flapper,
the
style.
flapper movement and all of that.
All of that
so
was
fascinating.
Revolutionary.
All right, let's talk about what you're doing to celebrate all this.
So the City of Tampa sponsors Archives Awareness Week, which celebrates the city's birthday. And so the History Center is participating in a lot of different events. And so we just started a partnership with the Tampa Housing Authority for Tampa's Black History Museum. So we have 2 programs there tomorrow and Wednesday. Actually, Fred Hearns, our curator of Black History, is doing an event at City Hall today.
Okay.
And then on Thursday, you can see me and Heather Culligan, our curator of collections, talk about 1924 in Tampa through objects. And then on Friday, there's actually a historic marker dedication for the Memorial Park Cemetery, an historic Black cemetery, and that's at C. Blythe Andrews Library.
That's great. It's so good, and I think if you understand your history, you can understand your future a whole lot better.
And again, that's what the 20s, the 1920s and 2020s, very similar, so we can learn a lot of lessons.
All right. Thank you so much for being here.
Of course, thank you.